She called me a loser. My friends turned their backs. Everyone thought I'd fail. But I was just getting started. My name is Maya. And this is the story of the night that destroyed me. The night I stood in front of everyone I loved and watched them laugh at my dreams. The night my own sister told me I was embarrassing the family. The night I realized that the people who are supposed to lift you up, sometimes they're the ones holding you down. They thought that night broke me. And for a while, it did. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't see, was that I was memorizing every face, every laugh, every word. Because I knew something they didn't. Rock bottom has a way of showing you exactly who you are. And what you're capable of becoming. This is the story of how I lost everything in front of everyone. And how I made sure they never forgot it. I grew up in a small town. The kind of place where everyone knows your name. Your family. Your business. Where success is measured by whether you stay or leave. And leaving is complicated. My family owned a restaurant. Nothing fancy. Local comfort food. Been in the family for 2 generations. My parents worked there every day. My older sister Claire managed it after college. Everyone assumed I'd do the same. Work at the restaurant. Marry someone local. Settle down. Repeat the cycle. But I wanted something different. I wanted to create. Since I was a kid, I'd been obsessed with art. Drawing. Painting. Design. My room was covered in sketches. Ideas. Plans for galleries I'd never seen. Cities I'd never visited. My mom would smile at them. That's nice, Maya. Very creative. But I could hear what she wasn't saying, but it's not practical. Claire was more direct. Art doesn't pay bills, she'd say. You need a real career. My dad didn't say much. Just worked. Provided. Expected the same from us. When I graduated high school, I applied to art schools. Got accepted to one 3 hours away. Not the best. But it was mine. I was so excited. I came home, acceptance letter in hand, ready to celebrate. My family was gathered for Sunday dinner. Extended family too. Aunts, uncles, cousins. I have an announcement, I said. Everyone looked up. I got into Riverside School of Art. I'm going to study design. Silence. Then my aunt laughed. Actually laughed. Art school? Maya, honey, that's not a real degree. My uncle chimed in. What are you going to do with that? Draw pictures? Claire set down her fork. Maya, be serious. We need you here. The restaurant. I don't want to work at the restaurant, I said quietly. My dad's expression hardened. It's been good enough for this family for 40 years. I know. And I respect that. But it's not my dream. Dreams don't pay rent, Claire said. My mom reached for my hand. Sweetie, we just want you to be practical. Art is a hobby, not a career. It can be both, I insisted. My aunt again, name one successful artist from this town. I couldn't. Because there weren't any. Everyone who'd tried had failed. Came back. Settled. You'll waste 4 years and thousands of dollars, Claire continued. Then you'll be back here anyway. Why not just skip the embarrassment? The word stung. Embarrassment. Like my dreams were something to be ashamed of. I'm going, I said firmly. My dad stood up. Not with my money, you're not. Then I'll pay for it myself. He shook his head. You're throwing your life away. I went anyway. Got student loans. Worked 2 part-time jobs. Made it work. Art school was everything I'd hoped for. I learned. Grew. Found my style. My voice. I was good at it. Really good. My professors encouraged me. Told me I had potential. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I went home for holidays. Tried to share my work. My excitement. My family would nod politely. Change the subject. That's nice, Maya. How are your grades? Are you dating anyone? Never. Tell me about your art. What are you working on? It hurt. But I kept going. Senior year, I had a senior showcase. A gallery showing of my work. I invited everyone. Please come, I asked. It would mean everything to me. My mom said maybe. My dad said he'd be working. Claire didn't respond. The night of the showcase, I stood in the gallery. Surrounded by my work. My heart. My soul on those walls. And I waited. My classmates' families filled the space. Proud parents. Supportive siblings. Crying grandmothers. My section stayed empty. Until the very end. Claire showed up. Alone. I felt a surge of hope. She came. She walked through, looking at my pieces. Abstract designs. Bold colors. Emotional landscapes. I waited for her to say something. Anything. She turned to me. This is what you've been doing for 4 years? Yes. What do you think? She looked around. At the empty space where our family should have been. I think you wasted your time, Maya. This isn't art. It's mess. And no one is going to pay for this. I felt something crack inside me. Why did you come? I whispered. Because Mom asked me to. Because someone needs to tell you the truth before you waste any more of your life. She left. And I stood there, alone, surrounded by my dreams. Wondering if she was right. I graduated. Got my degree. Moved back home temporarily. Just until I find my footing, I told myself. I applied for jobs. Design firms. Marketing agencies. Anywhere that needed creativity. Got rejected. Over and over. Not enough experience. Looking for someone more established. We'll keep your resume on file. Months passed. My savings ran out. I started working at the restaurant. Just temporarily. Just until something opened up. Claire was my boss. She never let me forget it. Take these to table 6. Wipe down the bar. You're late. Again. Every day, a reminder that I'd come crawling back. That she'd been right. 1 year became 2. I still applied for jobs. Still created art at night. But doubt was creeping in. Maybe I had wasted my time. Maybe this was all I was meant to be. Then came the night everything fell apart. It was the restaurant's 30th anniversary. Big celebration. Whole town invited. My parents wanted family there. Working, of course. But there. The night was going well. People were happy. Drinking. Celebrating. I was serving tables when I overheard a conversation. A group of my old high school classmates. People I'd grown up with. Did you hear Maya went to art school? One of them said. Laughter. And now she's serving drinks at her parents' restaurant. Classic. Remember how she thought she was going to be this big artist? More laughter. Some people are meant for bigger things. And some people aren't. I pretended not to hear. Kept working. But inside, I was dying. Later that night, during the speeches, my dad took the microphone. Thanked everyone for coming. Talked about the restaurant's history. His pride in the business. And I want to thank my daughters. Claire, who's taken this place to new heights with her management. Applause. And Maya, who's helping out while she figures things out. The pause before helping out hung in the air. Like even he couldn't quite believe I was still there. Claire took the mic next. I just want to say how grateful I am to be part of this legacy. It takes dedication. Hard work. Commitment to something real. She glanced at me. Not everyone understands that. Some people chase dreams instead of building reality. People laughed. Thought she was being philosophical. I knew she was talking about me. Then my aunt stood up. Drunk. Emotional. I just have to say something. Maya, honey, we all love you. But when are you going to get serious about your life? The room went quiet. You went to school for art. Art. And now look at you. 26 years old. Still living at home. Still waiting tables. I felt everyone's eyes on me. It's embarrassing. For you. For the family. My mom tried to intervene. Linda, that's enough. But my aunt wasn't done. Someone needs to say it. You wasted 4 years and God knows how much money on a useless degree. And for what? To prove everyone right? My heart was pounding. Face burning. You're a disappointment, Maya. And I think it's time you admitted it. The silence was deafening. I looked around. At my family. My old friends. The whole town. Waiting for someone to defend me. To say something. Claire looked away. My dad stared at his drink. My mom looked sad. But said nothing. And I realized they agreed with her. Maybe not the words. But the sentiment. I was an embarrassment. A failure. The family member who couldn't get it together. I put down my tray. Walked out of that restaurant. And didn't look back. I drove for hours that night. Nowhere specific. Just away. Ended up in a parking lot, crying so hard I couldn't see. Everything my aunt said replayed in my head. Disappointment. Embarrassment. Failure. And the worst part? I believed it. I had wasted 4 years. Wasted money. Wasted time. Chasing something that was never going to happen. I should have stayed. Worked at the restaurant. Been practical. Like everyone said. I called my best friend. Or who I thought was my best friend. Did you hear what happened? I asked. Yeah. Maya, I'm sorry but, your aunt kind of had a point. I went numb. What? I mean, we all supported you going to art school. But it's been years. And you're still, you know. Stuck. I'm not stuck. I'm trying. Are you, though? Or are you just scared to admit it didn't work out? I hung up. Spent that night in my car. Couldn't go home. Couldn't face anyone. The next morning, I made a decision. I was leaving. For real this time. I packed everything I owned into my car. Didn't tell anyone. Just left a note, I need to figure out who I am without all of you telling me who I should be. I drove to the city. 3 hours away. No plan. No job. No place to live. Just the absolute certainty that I couldn't stay in that town one more day. The first month was brutal. I slept in my car. Used gym memberships for showers. Ate whatever I could afford. Spent every day applying for jobs. Any job. Finally got hired as a receptionist at a small marketing agency. It wasn't design work. But it was something. I found a tiny studio apartment. Barely bigger than a closet. But it was mine. For the first time in years, I could breathe. No one here knew my story. My failures. My family's disappointment. I was just Maya. The new receptionist. But at night, alone, the doubts crept back. What if they were right? What if I really was just chasing an impossible dream? I'd pull out my sketchbook. Stare at blank pages. And wonder if I had anything left to say. The marketing agency was small. 15 people. Scrappy. Ambitious. I was supposed to just answer phones. Schedule meetings. Basic admin work. But I watched everything. How they pitched clients. How they developed campaigns. How they translated ideas into visuals. And I noticed something. Their design work was okay. Not terrible. But not great. Generic stock photos. Template layouts. Nothing that really grabbed attention. One day, the lead designer was swamped. Behind on a client presentation. I offered to help. I studied design, I said. I could create some mock-ups. Just to give you options. She was desperate. Sure. Anything helps. I stayed late. Created 3 different concepts. Put everything I had into them. The next morning, I showed her. She stared at my screen. Silent. This is really good, Maya. Like, really good. She showed it to the creative director. He loved it. They used my design for the pitch. The client chose it over the other options. And suddenly, people were paying attention. Maya did the design? The receptionist? I started getting pulled into more projects. Little things at first. Can you clean up this layout? We need a quick graphic. Can you help? Every time, I said yes. Worked late. Came in early. Proved I could deliver. 6 months in, the lead designer quit. Took a job at a bigger agency. They needed a replacement. The creative director called me into his office. I know you were hired as a receptionist. But we've all seen your work. You're talented, Maya. Really talented. Thank you. I want to offer you the designer position. It's a pay cut from what we'd normally offer, since you're new to the industry. But it's a start. A start. After years of rejection. Of being told I wasn't good enough. Someone was giving me a chance. I took it. And I worked harder than I'd ever worked in my life. I learned the business side. The client side. Not just how to make pretty pictures, but how to make designs that actually worked. That sold products. Built brands. Told stories. Within a year, I was lead designer. 2 years in, I was creative director. I started building a portfolio. Real work for real clients. And people noticed. Industry blogs featured my designs. Clients specifically requested me. My work was getting attention. But I stayed quiet. Didn't tell anyone back home. Didn't post on social media. Didn't reach out to old friends. I was building something. And I didn't want anyone's doubt creeping back in. 3 years after leaving, I was headhunted by a major agency. National clients. Big budgets. Dream projects. They'd seen my work. Wanted me to lead their creative team. I took the meeting. The salary they offered was more than my parents made in a year. I accepted. And just like that, I was exactly where I'd always dreamed of being. Leading campaigns for brands everyone knew. Getting awards. making a name for myself. But the best part? I was happy. Really, genuinely happy. Doing work I loved. Being valued. Finally proving, to myself, that I wasn't a failure. I still thought about that night sometimes. The humiliation. The laughter. My aunt's words, "You're a disappointment." And I'd wonder what they'd think if they could see me now. For years after I left, I got a call. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Maya? It's Claire. My sister. Who I hadn't spoken to in 4 years. Claire. Hi. Awkward silence. I got your number from your old phone carrier. I hope that's okay. What do you need? She sighed. It's the restaurant. We're struggling. I stayed quiet. Dad's health isn't great. Mom can't manage everything. And I've been trying, but business is down. Way down. I'm sorry to hear that. We need help. With marketing. Our image. We've tried some local agencies, but nothing's working. My jaw tightened. So you're calling me? I heard you work in marketing now. Someone saw your name on an article. We thought maybe you could. I don't know. Give us advice? The irony wasn't lost on me. For years ago, my work was a waste of time. Now they needed it. I'm pretty busy, Claire. I know. And I wouldn't ask if we weren't desperate. We might have to close. After 34 years. That hit differently. Despite everything, it was still my parents' legacy. Let me think about it. Maya, I know I wasn't. I know I said things. That night. Things I shouldn't have. You mean when you called my dreams worthless in front of everyone? Silence. I was wrong. I'm sorry. 4 years late. But it was something. I'll think about it, I repeated. I hung up. And I did think about it. Part of me wanted to say no. Let them figure it out. Feel what it was like to need someone they'd dismissed. But another part saw an opportunity. Not for revenge. Not exactly. But for something better. A chance to show them, all of them, who I'd become. On my terms. With my success. Without apology. I called Claire back a week later. I'll help. But I'm doing this professionally. I'll audit your business. Create a strategy. Implement changes. But you'll do exactly what I say. No arguments. No second guessing. Okay. Yes. Whatever you need. And I'm not doing this for free. You'll pay my consulting rate. I named a number. A fair one for my expertise. But high enough to make a point. She agreed without hesitation. They really were desperate. 2 weeks later, I drove back to my hometown. 4 years. Felt like a lifetime. Everything looked the same. But I wasn't. I parked outside the restaurant. Took a deep breath. Walked in. My mom was at the counter. Older. Tired. She looked up. Maya? Hi, Mom. She rushed over. Hugged me tight. Oh honey, I've missed you so much. I hugged her back. I've missed you too. Claire came out from the back. We made eye contact. You came. I said I would. The place looked rough. Outdated decor. Worn furniture. No clear brand identity. I pulled out my notebook. Okay. Let's talk about what's not working. I spent 2 weeks auditing everything. Their menu. Their marketing. Their social media presence. Their customer experience. And I was honest. Brutally honest. You have no clear identity. No reason for people to choose you over the chain restaurants. Your social media is non-existent. In 2024, that's unacceptable. Your menu is trying to be everything to everyone. That's the same as being nothing to anyone. Claire bristled at first. We've been doing fine for 30 years. You're not doing fine now. That's why I'm here. My dad showed up one afternoon. First time I'd seen him in 4 years. He looked older. Smaller somehow. Maya. Dad. Awkward silence. Your mother tells me you're helping. I'm trying. He looked around at my notes. My plans. My redesigns. This is really what you do now? Marketing? Creative direction. Brand strategy. Visual design. Yes. He nodded slowly. You any good at it? I met his eyes. I'm one of the best in the city. Not arrogance. Just fact. Something shifted in his expression. Okay then. Show us. I created a complete rebrand. New logo. New color scheme. New menu design focused on their actual strengths, family recipes, local ingredients, authentic comfort food. I rewrote their story. Not as a generic family restaurant, but as a community gathering place with history and heart. I built them a website. Set up social media. Created content that actually connected with people. I took photos of the food. Proper ones. Made it look as good as it tasted. And I trained the staff. How to engage with customers. How to create experiences, not just serve food. The changes weren't just cosmetic. They were strategic. I found their unique value. And I made sure everyone knew about it. Launch day came 3 weeks later. New menus. New signage. New everything. The family was nervous. What if people don't like it? They will, I said confidently. And they did. The response was immediate. Social media posts went viral locally. People were curious. Excited. The restaurant got a makeover. This looks amazing. I didn't even know they had a website. Reservations started coming in. More than they'd had in months. Articles in local media. Hometown restaurant reinvents itself. And buried in every article, with help from brand consultant Maya Chen, who grew up in the family business before pursuing her career in design. My name. My work. My success. In the town that had called me a failure. The restaurant was packed the first Friday night. Busier than it had been in years. I watched from the corner. Saw my parents smiling. Actually smiling. Claire found me. Maya, I don't know how to thank you. You already did. You hired me professionally. No, I mean for coming back. After everything after what I said. I looked at her. Really looked at her. You called my dreams worthless, Claire. In front of everyone. You made me feel like I was nothing. She looked down. I know. I was wrong. I was jealous, actually. That surprised me. Jealous? You had the courage to leave. To chase something. I stayed because it was easy. Safe. Expected. She met my eyes. And when you came back struggling, I thought it proved I'd made the right choice. But really, I was just scared you'd succeed. Because then I'd have to face that I'd chosen fear over dreams. It was the most honest she'd ever been with me. I'm sorry, Maya. Really sorry. I nodded. I appreciate that. Word spread fast in a small town. People who'd laughed that night started coming in. Seeing my work. My name on the website credits. Former classmates who'd mocked me suddenly wanted to reconnect. Maya. Oh my God, we heard you're doing amazing in the city. I always knew you'd make it. We should catch up sometime. I smiled politely. Didn't commit to anything. Because I knew the truth. They didn't care about me. They cared about my success. They wanted to be associated with it now that it was undeniable. My aunt came in one evening. The one who'd called me a disappointment. She saw me. Froze. I walked over. Professional smile. Hi, Aunt Linda. How are you? She looked uncomfortable. Maya. I didn't know you were here. Just finishing up a consulting project. Helping the family with their rebrand. It looks wonderful. Really wonderful. Thank you. Silence. Heavy with everything she'd said 4 years ago. Maya, I want to apologize. For what I said at the anniversary party. I was drunk and cruel, Anne. You meant it, I interrupted gently. When people are drunk, they usually say what they really think. She had no response. But that's okay. Because you were right about one thing. I was wasting my time. Her eyes widened. I was wasting my time trying to prove myself to people who'd already decided I wasn't worth believing in. I smiled. Once I stopped doing that, everything changed. I walked away. Left her standing there, holding the truth. I stayed in town for 1 more week. Made sure everything was running smoothly. Trained Claire on maintaining the social media. Keeping the brand consistent. The night before I left, my parents took me to dinner. Just us. At a different restaurant. Neutral territory. My dad cleared his throat. Maya, your mother, and I want to say something. Here it comes, I thought. We're proud of you. I looked up. Surprised. My mom was crying. We should have said it years ago. Should have supported your dream instead of dismissing it. You were right to leave, my dad continued. We were holding you back. Trying to keep you small because we were scared. Scared of what? I asked. Of losing you. Of you outgrowing us. He shook his head. Stupid, really. Because we lost you anyway. Just in a worse way. My mom reached for my hand. Can you forgive us? Could I? 4 years of silence. Of building myself back up without them. Of proving I was worth something, despite their doubt. Part of me wanted to hold on to the anger. Use it as fuel. But another part, the part that had healed, grown, succeeded, knew that anger wasn't serving me anymore. I forgive you, I said quietly. But I need you to understand something. They nodded. I'm not coming back. Not to live. Not to work. I built a life in the city. A career I love. I'm happy there. We understand, my dad said. But, I continued, I'm not cutting you off either. We can rebuild this. On different terms. As adults. With respect. My mom squeezed my hand. We'd like that. Very much. Before I left town, I drove past my old high school. The place where I'd first dreamed of leaving. Of becoming someone. I thought about the girl I'd been. Scared. Uncertain. But hopeful. And I wished I could tell her, it's going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to make it. Not because everyone believed in me. But because I finally believed in myself. My phone buzzed. A text from my creative director. Client wants you to lead the national campaign. When are you back? I smiled. Back to my real life. My success. My terms. The town that called me a failure would talk about this for years. About Maya Chen, who left as a disappointment and came back as the person who saved the family business. But I didn't do it for them. I did it for me. To prove, once and for all, that I was never the problem. Their doubt was. As I drove away, I realized something. The best revenge isn't making people suffer. It's becoming so successful they have to eat their words. It's being so undeniably good at what you do that everyone who doubted you has to watch you shine. It's not about anger or bitterness. It's about building something so beautiful, so real, so true to yourself that no one can ever take it away. My aunt called me a disappointment. My sister said I was an embarrassment. My town laughed at my dreams. But I had the last laugh. Because while they were watching me fail, I was learning. While they were comfortable in their judgment, I was growing. While they were stuck in their small thinking, I was building an empire. And when they finally needed me, when they finally saw what I'd become, I didn't gloat. Didn't rub it in their faces. I just showed up. Did excellent work. And let the results speak for themselves. Because that's what real success looks like. Not revenge. Just undeniable proof that they were wrong about you. And you were right about yourself all along. Some people think success made them powerful. They forget who paid the price.